Grand Rising family, it's Shay Seeking, and this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of his stories, lies. Um, Grand Rising Soul Siblings, it's Shay Seeking, and this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of his stories, lies. Um, Today we are going to go ahead and jump into the Gettysburg Address. Okay, so again, I've been having a little bit of confliction because I want to move on to other things that people may think are more important about today. But no matter how much I want to go into that, my spirit is resting with me staying on two subjects. And that is, again, if you guys want to help me along the way, that's fine. Go ahead and share what you would like um, in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained. If you want to kind of add something to what I'm doing here or show me something else. But again, I'm going to go ahead and try my hardest to stick on this here subject because I believe that if we do this, we are going to be able to unveil something very big, okay, about the history in the Bible, okay, the history of the Americas in the Bible, okay. So again, we're here with the Gettysburg Address, and I think that that's probably the first thing that I want to go ahead and go into. But we're going to be doing the Gettysburg Address and all of the other civil wars and things that were going on within that time while we read along with the book of Joshua, again, to show you guys some of these things because we're questioning if these are mere men in his story that we're speaking of when we're talking about these particular texts in the Bible. So again, we're going to go ahead and look at dates and numbers and different things, names and things like this to see what this may be pertaining to. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and go right into this, and then we're going to go ahead and go into the book of Joshua. Okay, so the Gettysburg, and now again, you're going to read it how you're going to read it, and I'm going to read it how we do on this channel. Again, I'm never here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looks like to me from the research I've done using terms that I have now found it is appropriate to use when we're talking about the biblical and the historical correlations that we're looking at here. So it says November 19th, 1863. At the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 7 years our fathers. Okay, I stopped because I thought I was thinking something. Anyhow, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. Now, okay, we're just gonna break it down, Shay Seeking style, or the way we break things down on this channel. Okay, so again, 7 years. We're gonna go ahead and do that at a later time to see what we're really talking about. I thought I broke it down on paper, but I'll have to find my notes before I go into it. Okay. So it says, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. So again, this is talking about the founding fathers or the fathers of the founding fathers. Okay. Bringing forth a new nation. Okay. So again, it's also, it is a new nation because again, they're not really, they'll tell you that Indians were here, but they're saying that they discovered or they did these things. Well, in order to do that, when this land was populated, you would have to be taking something from someone else because of some type of order or because you felt it was necessary to do so. Okay, or whoever sent them here. Okay. So again, this is what I'm talking about, like even when we're talking about in Genesis. Those people coming in and putting a nation on top of a prior group of primitive or prior group of people. Okay. So we're going to use the term conceived next. Because again, when we're talking about conception, we're talking about grafting in, we're talking about cleaving to the wife, we're talking about all of these things. They're also being used to explain something that is happening on a more physical realm than what we're talking about when you're talking about conceiving. You know, it's basically one and the same in a sense, okay, using different terminology of giving birth, but then again, birthing the nation, okay? So what I'm saying is that is a physical thing or something that happens, when it comes to creating a life. And it's also creating their life here on a prior land. It's also talking about a spiritual new something. Okay. So, again, conceived in liberty. Okay. So they conceived this in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, these men that we're talking about are not the women, because the women represent women sometimes, but it also represents the group of people or the group of inhabitants that you are able to acquire as property or chattel or cattle or stock. Okay, stock market. So again, these are also talking about, in my eyes, okay, this is just what I'm seeing, okay, um, that all men represent those who came over here, okay, as the living creatures or the sons of God or those particular people that are for reign. They were brought here to reign on the earth, which is you, which is the primitive equivalent to the primitive earthlings or group of people that were just natural in nature, you know what I'm saying, and naturally produced in a place prior to these people coming in, splicing or amalgamating or creating different genitive or uh, uh, groups of people, subgroups of people or races, right? Okay, so before that, there was no one to till or rain, not raindrops, but rain, because rain always is going to happen regardless if it's something that's natural. So we're talking about a raining of or someone raining on your parade, like a ruler. Okay. So again, let's see. So that all men are created equal. Now, men, that will include women too. So whoever was brought over here by the grace of God or see, when they were birthing the nation, those particular people that came from the places where these people came from, so that they will also have a group of people here that look like them, or that they could also create with once they brought them here, or give them lands, choicest lands and allotments and things like this from the Indians or okay, so again, the land was initially taken from the Aboriginals. This is what I've been able to find in older documents, that it was taken from the Aboriginals, not the natives. But then again, in some instances, it was the natives, because the natives will be tied to or connected to the indigenous population. The indigenous population would be tied to which is the offspring or those who sprung up from the earth, which would be the original thing that has been here from forever. Okay. And those would represent the earthlings or heavily melanated people, is what we're talking about, because they have been left out of the story that were here prior to Native Americans and anyone else. Okay, some say Folsom people, but again, some like Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson uses Folsom people, as to say that they were the first people. We were the first people here as those people, but then again, I haven't looked deep enough into them to see how far we can go. So I like to use earthlings, because again, this is what the Bible and this is what etymology says that will represent. Okay, an archetype even sometimes, which it would be, the archetype would be something pure. Um, when we go into those terms, white and stuff like that, meaning pure, whether it is along the lines of heavily melanated or something that is purely so-called lesser melanated or white. Okay. So again, this is just random. We're just, like I said, I'm going to take you guys, whether you like it or not, I'm going to take you along with the journey as we go to show you how we're able to find these things. It may just be, it may take a long time, but it may be the easiest way for me to do it. Okay. So again, that all men or people. So when they say we the people in their documents, they're talking about them. It's not including you. Okay. Because again, you were looked at as animals at some point in time. And the word animal can also be interpreted to be speaking about people. Okay. So now we are engaged in a great civil war. Okay. So these are all men, more than likely, in war with each other. Okay. A civil war. Civilians, civilized. Okay. So testing whether that nation or any nation, okay, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, dedicated, Okay. Can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. Okay. So again, he's talking about this war. Okay. We have come to dedicate, again, dedicate. That would be a good one to break down. Maybe at the end. A portion, okay, of that field. Okay. So dedicate a portion of that field. Now, dedicate. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Conceived and dedicated. Okay. So dedicate a portion of that field. Now, I know that there's some fields or whatever that these wars were done on, but, is it really, are we talking about the actual land or the dirt that it was done on? Or are we talking about the groups of people that would have to be dedicated in order for them to seed or populate or cultivate or till? I mean, well, not till, because they would have done that. This is what tilling would be: is war and destruction. Okay, subduing and all that other stuff. Okay, replenishing would be making new. Okay, so again, yeah, so the fact that they're saying dedicated a portion of that field, and then that they're going to talk about all of those who, died, uh-huh, in order for some of these things to happen. Okay. So again, because again, I mean, if we even think about that, those who had died, we had to be careful what they're really talking about, because again, there's some that had to be, again, slew doesn't necessarily mean dead, when you look into the term heavily. So yeah, so again, they would have to knock down those trees or rip up those roots, right, in order for them to plant something new. Um, okay, this is just okay, me going off the grid here. Okay, sorry. So as a final resting place for those, so this is a final resting place for those who here gave their lives, okay? Because again, treaties and things too were going on here, that people would lose their living rights, okay? Signing them over to these people in order to become property or slaves, where these people can dictate where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And they would have their paperwork or their treaties to actually say, look here, you signed this. You see? Okay, same thing with the Bible. Look here, it says this, but you don't even know who, where, what, when, or whatever we're talking about. So again, it's a way to deceive. Okay. Okay, so again, this can also be the final resting place. Could be, yes, if there was a war there and there was a battle and these people actually physically died, then yes. But then there's also people that actually ended up dying because they went against or didn't want to go with the grain. Okay, and so they ended up losing their standing in law. Okay, so as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that nation might live. Okay. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. Okay, so it is fitting and proper that they should do this. Okay, but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow. Now, when we're talking about dedicating this to that and consecrating and making holy and hallowed be thy name, and you know what I'm saying? It just seems like also in a larger sense, they're not supposed to be able to do these things, right? Right? So in a sense, you are we talking that these people are going against their particular God, but then they are a higher group of people as little g gods that are taking over or trying to do something when it comes to the separation between the North and the South and all of these other things that were going on. So again, are these men at power fighting over each other and using this little people in order to die, both ways for them to advance? See? And now their lineage is still up there and we're still down here. Okay. So again, that sounds a lot like, Jesus saying that he didn't come to do this, he didn't come to do that, he has no power, all of these things like this, right? So again, so they cannot hollow this ground. No, so again, we move from talking about the field to the ground. Okay, the brave man living and dead. Okay, so again, let's just break that down. Okay, so they don't have the right to dedicate, consecrate, or hallow this land. The brave men, living and dead. See, I'm thinking, is this talking about by law as well? See, the living creatures are those are God's children. Those are in the caste system we talk about representing the commoners, the servants, and the peasants. And the dead is those who are not in the abode of God that reside in hell or the Sheol forever, and they are the ones that are uh, always going to be shown in his story or in the Bible as being a defeated, tilled, subdued, replenished, dead portion of people. So as much as people want to be Israelites, be careful, because I feel that in the historical manner, we may be talking about the Israelites as the so-called natives, or probably the indigenous populations that helped these people take from you and kill you, okay, in order to get them their place. They use the masses all the time to do the dirty work, okay? And then after they're done with the masses, what do? Cut them off, okay, from any power or anything. They've used you, they abused you, they had you do things to other people, and they still didn't keep up with all the promises that they told you. See, okay, so again, they try to explain away this thing that's going on in the Bible as Satan, but most of these tactics that are being done are being done by a form of a God figure. Okay, okay, because again, we have to ask ourselves, oh, everybody wants to say that the serpent, I separate, and I'm very careful when I'm talking about the devil, Satan, the serpent, whatever, okay, because the serpent is the one we're talking about in the the devil, or Satan, wasn't added until later. Okay, so when we're dealing with the serpent, I feel as though we're talking about serpent people. I think we're talking about groups of people, ancient peoples of the America, Nagas, okay, or you might even be talking about the plumed serpent of South America. These are the serpent tribes of California when it used to be an island, or different parts of this land here. Okay, so again, he told them that yes, did God say that this was going to happen? No, he knows that when you eat the fruit, you're going to be like this, and you're going to have to do this, and whatever, and whatever. And so, whatever. He may have convinced someone to take the fruit, but at the end of the day, he didn't lie. Because again, if anybody lied at that point, it would be one of the gods, because they said that they were going to die. So if we're talking about that kind of death, then why didn't they die? And someone's going to say, oh, he means that now they were immortal, or not immortal, but they were eternal, or what can we say? They were people that were, excuse me, oh, that could not die. Okay. They want to think that the 900 years that people lived actually means that it's talking about one person. Again, that's just what people want to think. But that these people are going to actually die one day now because of what they did. That's not true. He said, if you eat the fruit, you're going to die. They didn't die. But did they die a different kind of death because they had rules put on them and someone was banished from the garden? So again, that would be, you consider that being from the caste system, the people that were in the caste system at one point in time being banished from it forever and being placed down in the Sheol, or at the bottom, with the enmity between that seed of that particular land and the seed of those foreigners, or the living creatures that were brought in by God. Okay. Okay, so I know it's kind of whatever, but I'm just trying to show you how the terms and stuff, how they do this thing to manipulate, or to give you a false perception or narrative. Okay, so again, uh, they didn't die. They did exactly what happened. They went and took the fruit from the other tree and everything like this and whatnot, whatnot. And then what did he say? What did one of the guys, or one of the people that were there at the time, said? Oh, look, they did this. Now they become like us. So now should we have them take the fruit from this tree or whatever? So at the end of the day, the serpent did not lie about that. He told the truth. And if anybody lied and we're thinking that we're talking about somebody should have died, it would have been one of the gods. Okay. So again, these are critical things, not even critical. It's just common sense. You know what I'm saying? Once you slow down, break it down, and don't let anyone deceive you. Don't let no man deceive you. And you see what you see. Okay. Okay. So again, the brave men living and dead who struggled here. Okay. Again, and then also this is talking about making me think about struggling against God, you know, and he hurt the hip and everything like this. And it's, you know, gave them a new name and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the people that came here and gave certain groups of people different names now that they can put in their register so that they can remember who these people are, so they can continue to, you know, create the narrative for those particular people. Okay, sounds very similar to me, is all I'm saying. Okay, so again, who struggled here have consecrated it. Okay, far above our poor power to add or detract. Huh. Okay. To add or detract. Okay. And then notice we're talking about tracts of land too. We're talking about tracts of land when we're talking about all these wars. That's all they keep talking about. Oh, this tract and that tract. And, you know, I think now tracts are used for hunting grounds, if I'm not mistaken, when you want to purchase a piece of land or something. And, you know, they'll say there's deer and there's all these wild game or whatever there for you to hunt, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here. Okay. So the world will little note. Now tell me we haven't. Okay. Nor long remember what we say here. But it can never forget. Wait a minute. Okay, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it, oh, well, yeah, okay. So, but it can never, now it's talking about the world, okay, can never forget what they did here. Again, they'll never forget what they did there because they brought you down real low and brought themselves up real high. And now they're in control of everything and can tell you what they want. Okay, because again, perception is everything. And once you've been perceiving something, it's very hard to stop that perception and see reality. You'll get angry when people try to bring it to you. It is for us. Now, listen here. It is for us, the living. Okay, this is why I like my living Bible, because I think this living Bible was a preferred Bible. And this is why I find this in more likely when I go to estate sales, I find these in the homes of elderly so-called white people that have all their family tree written out nicely and stuff in the front of their Bibles. And they, you know, this is where I seem to see more of these living Bibles again, because and then they have like a strong uh Swedish or German, some type of background or something you can see from the rest of their texts and their books and their stuff in their house. You know what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying is the living creatures represent those who are living. So there's a different something that's going to, maybe this is why this Bible has dates in it, like November 25th and things like this, right? Because it is for them to interpret it a certain way. And whether they want to believe it or not, or know it or not, you know, I know some people had to look at this stuff and knowing that their parents or whatever were in some of these wars would have to relay or say that there's a lot of correlations with these books when what happened in these wars. And this is what I'm trying to understand. The historians and all of these people in your museums and things like this. It's just mind-boggling that even just the correlations, even if we can't make enough to show that this is actual history, at least we're making the attempt. And a lot of this stuff makes a lot of sense. Okay. So again, the living, they're going to have a different interpretation of things. Same thing why they want so-called black people to stay in the King James version, and they don't want you to look into the Nag Hammadi or the Apocrypha or certain books even in the particular Bible that you have. Okay? And if you don't know a lot about literature, biblical, you don't know a lot about etymology and words and things like that, you're going to be reading this thing and you're just going in circles. You're never going to scratch the surface. You're never going to scratch the surface. And if you're continuing to go to these churches that are there for your coin, see, most of the time these days, especially the ones that are very, you know which ones I'm talking about. Okay. Again, any church is a deception if they're not having you have a book of etymology next to your Bible whenever you come to Bible study, in my eyes. Okay. Whether they know it or not. See? Okay. So it is for us the living. So again, their Bible is separate than yours. You know what I'm saying? You can get one now if you want, but a lot of people are leaving the Bible because they're getting religion and the indoctrination from the schools and all this other stuff in the churches mixed up with what the word is actually saying. They haven't separated themselves from all of that and know that they're lied to about every single thing. And now, since they're woke and their mind is open to see things in a different way, in a different light, they won't go back into this text because they have some kind of emotional trauma or something that goes along with it. Okay. That's why you'll notice that a lot of us that are breaking this down right here didn't come from that heavy trauma of church as a child. You might have been there, whatever. Like I said, I used to go with my grandma, whatever, but I never really felt comfortable there. I never felt. So again, a lot of us are looking at this, and we have been looking at this kind of off, kind of strange our whole lives. And now we're able to kind of interpretate with different tools that we're bringing and sharing with each other what this thing is really saying. Okay. And you don't have to be afraid of what your parents that are highly religious and all of these other things. You weren't made for that. You were the ones that were set apart. Okay. So again, this Bible is speaking some type of truth. It's just not the one that you've been told. And then I believe that a lot of us, once we start seeing it for what it is, you'll like it again. You'll see things there. You'll see visions. You'll see things that are actually happening here in real time. Okay. So again, it's for them, the living. Rather to be dedicated here to the, let's see, unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. So now they've consecrated, they're broken everything down, they've gotten this far, and now a great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead. So again, these honored dead. Okay, now we do honor these people. And again, are they dead by law? Still. Okay. The veterans and things like that. Because then again, when they come back and they're veterans, yeah, they get discounts at stores and stuff like that. But what care, in some states, in some instances, we'll say, do they really receive? What did they receive after these wars? You want to go back in history and look? It wasn't very well, just like today. Okay. We take increased devotion to that cause so that even when it comes to the Gettysburg, okay, the Gettysburg movie was created after a novel that is called the Killing Angels or something like that. Again, because angels are nothing but military men in my eyes. They're or messengers or someone who was sent with a particular message, and they may have wings, but not literal wings. They may have wings on their coat or on their jacket or on a pin or on their hats or something like that, symbolic. See, they've given you a perception as these people were walking around with these robes and sandals on. That's not the case. And that the blue trim and all this other stuff, I mean, the blue and the red with the trim and all that, that's talking about these jackets and these costumes of the Confederate and the red and blue, the blue bloods, or the ones wearing the red with the fringes and stuff. That's what this is representing. It's not representing what you think it is. I'm just saying, in my eyes, okay? Okay, we take increase. Okay, da da da. The last four. Okay, devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. Okay, um, it reminded me of a cup filling over or runneth over. I mean, that's just, I don't know what just came to my mind really quick. That we here highly above all, resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. These dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God, caste system, anyone? I'm just saying. Because again, Indigenous, untouchable Dalit people would not be included in that. They would be under man. See, and how people say that man was given control over everything. You don't understand that it's talking about your chocolate behind. They were given rule over everything. We look at the caste system. We always look at it here. I'm not going to pull it up now because, again, I want to get this part done. So, again, under God. Man is under God. He has that system to help and obey him, to, help administer, help to keep the masses at a certain place. Okay? So all of that is under God. And then we are under man or anyone else, any other foreigners that come into this land. This is why they're able to come here and get wealth. That's why everybody wants to come here, because they get wealth. This is why everyone else is getting better and finding cures and taking care of their people. But in America, they just want us to think that it is a dire situation, when some places in this world don't have any cases of this here virus. Again, they're going to treat you differently because you don't understand that they're foreign. Their vow is to their throne or their people of power in their land. They are foreigners. Um they are what do you call it when someone comes in and imposters, okay? They may have a sense of pride in some of the things that they did here because, again, they came here to do those things. And so they have a prideful way about those things. But that stuff is not really American. That is from the orders of whatever they were given from their lands that they came from. Okay? In order to bring America to its knees. So again, this is why we so-called you, okay, vote these people in office, hoping for a change. Again, the wings, the right one and the left one are on the same damn bird, and the same damn bird got the same damn brain. So what I'm saying is, this is why we don't get any kind of results here in America when we select certain people. Because again, they say you elect them after they have selected them and put them in front of you, as if that was you choosing. Okay. But again, they're all connected by blood. So again, is this done by design? Okay. So to give you the perception of inclusion or the illusion of inclusion that you're choosing something that you're not, because they already know what's going to happen. See, this is why I always say prophecy or plan. They know what's going to happen, just like they knew some of this stuff that was going to happen prior to it being written into the Bible, because they can predict the future because they're the one that are writing the past. They're controlling the narrative from all the way from the past until now. So again, I can predict what's going to happen 100 years from now too, if I am in control of everything, and I have been for the last thousands of years. That's just what would be able to happen. Okay. Shall have a new birth of freedom. So again, when we're seeing a new heaven and a new earth. Okay. And that government of the people, now we're talking about the people. So again, the people does not always include you. It's not including you, so-called black folks. Again, in some instances, they wrote that you were only 3/5 of a human being, not even of a people, of a human being. So again, the people is not talking about you. By the people. So again, it's the government of the people, because it works for them and not you. You see? You might want to go talk to Hades again, because that's where you reside, is in the Sheol, in the underworld. And that would be your particular God. I'm just saying. Again, maybe that just means go back to your natural stuff that you used to do. But again, that's been hidden away or turned into something evil as well. So, by the people, for the people, okay? Government of the people, by the people, for the people. This is the caste system here. This is the abode of God. It's in the heavens, or a higher place than everybody else. They've been put on high, in a high positions, okay? Shall not perish. They shall not perish from the earth. Now we get down to the nitty gritty about what we're talking about. They will never perish from the earth. The earth is you. See? Because they don't think that you know who you are at this point in time. But again, it's up to you. Because when we look this up in the concordance here, they're saying that it's talking about a group of people. a old group of people or original people to a place. So again, earthlings or earth. I'm trying to tell you that the invasion has already happened, honey. The alien invasion, if you look at alien, it just means someone that came in from a different place. This they have you looking up in the sky for aliens. They've already invaded. And check out what they've done. When you want to say the so-called white man, okay? The governing forces, okay? You see what they've done to in particular your people over time? And you tell me this is not the same probing and all this other stuff that the people that aliens in movies have done to people, but they give you the perception or the notion or the idea of what an alien is, and so you're still looking in the sky for them when they're already here. They spliced and diced and used your DNA to create different people and everything. Again, the people have no control over that. That's just like somebody, the baby, when you have a baby and when you conceive and you're pregnant, the baby has no control over the baby, but if you decide to abort the baby and I was looking at that term abort in the dictionary, another dictionary that I pulled out. It's just so funny how aboriginal, abort, and I just was reading all of the terms that were similar with that, and it was very, yeah, profound what you see when you do that. Okay? Abhorrent, um, even abolish. I don't know. Just maybe one day you can do that or whatever. It was just something about it. Okay? But anyhow, the earth is talking about you and the land, and the land. Yeah. And the land, because now there are people so much that it's like the sand in the sea and all that stuff, and your numbers are dwindling down. Again, not because of your color, it's because of who you are. It's because of who or what you are. And again, like I said, the alien invasion has happened. Again, God, whatever they don't want you to really get a grips on, they want to control the narrative for it and give you a false perception. They put it in the sky because they know you're not going to go there. Even when it comes to the planets and your planetary, and then, when it comes to your the borders and stuff like that. This is why you have to have all kind of documents to be able to travel in the ocean, like really go somewhere. This is they're keeping track because they don't want you looking too much. This is why people say don't read into the Bible too much. It's a sin or whatever. That's a lie. It's because you're going to use common sense. You're going to see that some things are off when you're doing your research. Again, all these other people have no problem trying to go across the world finding stuff. They use different texts, different things like the Kabbalion and all different things, and they look into the Sumerian and the Thoth, and they look into all these things in order to come up with what they think to tell you. But then again, they want you to stay in the Bible and go to church with the vast amount of information that's out here. That's what they want you to do. So again, you can think what you want. I was just going ahead and putting that together really quick just so we can go ahead and dabble into this. When you're reading these documents, know that in particular, what I'm trying to interpret to you, whether it was written 100 years before or at that particular time, again, because we didn't get a Bible, everyday people couldn't get one until the late 1800s or early 1900s. And before that, they were using bishops' Bibles, was just for the person in charge of the church to read it to you out loud. And again, we didn't have them. So who knows when everything was put together and put, again, if you have an original first printing copy of the Bible, hey, share it with us. But if you don't, they know a majority of us won't. See how they think? Just like I said, the world will little note nor remember. Okay? So again, I'm just saying, thanks a lot for watching and take care. Don't forget to comment, rate, or subscribe, and join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained.